Night presses close on the opera square. Paper turns to cinder in the spring air. Young fists raised, a chorus rehearsed. Catalog titles meet a scripted thirst. Banners ripple, a crowd obeys. Uniform light on a stage of blaze. A list is a fuse when a hand is short. Strike it once and the fire seems pure. Who writes the index to unmake a shelf? Who crowns the bonfire a cure for the self? Count the flames, count the names, count the names. Pages fall like quiet rain. Count the flames, count the names, count the names. Smoke climbs high but truth remains. If ink is outlawed, memory aims. Count the flames, count the names, count the names. Public rituals dressed as civic hygiene. Words pronounced harmful, scrubbed to clean. Age appropriate, sharp like a blade. A rubber stamp lowers, decisions are made. Committees convene behind borrowed light. Shelves go quiet in the middle of night. A note on the door says pending review, but empty space tells what senses do. Who drafts the letter that looks like care? Who learns to fear the unguarded stare? Count the flames, count the names, count the names. Pages fall like quiet rain. Count the flames, count the names, count the names. Smoke climbs high but truth remains. If ink is outlawed, memory aims. Count the flames, count the names, count the names. Then came the night, the torches rose. Language was weighed and ash was chose. They called it cleansing of thought and art. They swore a nation needed one heart. They named the authors to teach the crowd. They fed the pyres, they shouted loud. They loved the gesture more than the fact. They set the future on a ruinous track. And still today in a polished tone, the safest choice is the choice of none. Who guards the guardian of a mind? Who files a warning against the blind? Count the flames, count the names, count the names. Pages fall like quiet rain. Count the flames, count the names, count the names. Smoke climbs high but truth remains. If ink is outlawed, memory aims. Count the flames, count the names, count the names.
On the 10th of May, 1933, bonfires blazed in more than 30 German university towns. The action was led by the Deutsche Studentenschaft as part of the Action Wider den Deutschen Geist. In Berlin at Bibelplatz, tens of thousands assembled for a public spectacle. About 40,000 people heard Joseph Goebbels speak at the square by the State Opera. Earlier that week, on the 6th of May, students raided Magnus Hirschfeld's Institute for Sexual Wissenschaft. Books, archives, and materials were seized and later burned with other volumes. Across that season, roughly 100 burnings were recorded in around 70 cities. Over 25,000 volumes by targeted authors were consigned to flames on essential nights. Names included Heinrich Heine, Bertolt Brecht, Erich Maria Remarque, Stefan Zweig, Albert Einstein, Sigmund Freud. The declared purpose was to purge so-called un-German spirit from public life and education. The events were ceremonial with speeches, oaths, and music to fix the message in memory. History reads the ritual not as purification, but as a warning signal preceding broader persecution.
A match is simple and index neat. A crowd finds courage with fire and heat. But long after bonfires the ember stays, hiding in margins, resisting the haze. Quiet librarians save what they can. Teachers go careful, adjusting the plan. Yet readers find roots through shuttered doors, passing a title from hand to hand. Who lights a candle where shelves were cleared?
Who keeps a ledger of what was feared?
Count the flames, count the names, count the names. Number the sparks that try to erase. Count the flames, count the names, count the names. Ink survives the hardest place. When speech is ration, memory frames. Count the flames, count the names, count the names. Shout in a whisper, pass it along. Count the flames, count the names, count the names. If they burn a paragraph, we keep the song.
When paper is smoke, the thought still breathes in hidden shelves and folded sleeves. We do not kneel to tidy flames. Count the flames, count the names.